It's set to be a very festive holiday season in the Cekeshe home. Fees Must Fall activist Kanya Cekeshe was released from Leeuwkop in the early hours of this morning. With the release, his 2 years in prison finally comes to an end. For more on how those nearest and dearest to him are feeling in the wake of this, we're joined on the line from KwaZulu-Natal by Nkanyiso, who is a good friend of Kanya Cekeshe. Nkanyiso, thank you for your time. I understand you've been in quite close communication with the Cekeshes. What can you tell us about this morning and Kanya's return to his family?
Well, the family is very happy ever since yesterday when there were issues, because in fact he was supposed to be released yesterday. They were at Leeuwkop waiting for his release, and there was also an issue with the DNA test, having to drive to Sentin and all the place trying to things done yesterday, but unfortunately they couldn't. But this morning they were very much happy about his release, and he's at home now. I can confirm. I was speaking just with the father now, and it's a very happy moment for all of us. We've been pioneering to ensure that finally Kanya is released from prison.
And just speaking to Kanya's father, you've spoken about the joy there, but this has been a long road. There's been litigation over the merits or lack thereof behind his incarceration since December of 2017. So in light of that, is there any kind of sort of bittersweet point to the family celebrations today?
Well, I've not confirmed about any form of celebration happening at home, but obviously, as per the request, they requested that they just wanted to have a private moment with Kanya until Christmas. Then everyone else can have Kanya, because as far as I know, he's an activist. He's someone that the society would really want to hear him speaking, would really want to sit down with him and get to understand what kind of a person he is. But for now, he's just having a private moment with the family until Christmas.
Definitely. And Nkanyiso, you were saying before we went on air that you got to meet Kanya about 2 years ago, so right at the beginning of this whole saga that's seen him at Leeuwkop behind bars. So what have you learnt about him and maybe his political sort of ideology and sort of passion over the last 2 years of your friendship?
Well, he's a social activist. He's someone who's driven by a conviction that we are not going to just allow the injustices happen in the society. So even besides his fall, from what I know, Kanya has always been hands-on on the social activism. So he's a very kind person when it comes to ensuring that people are assisted. So even Fees Must Fall, or the case where students are demanding free education, he finds himself there because of the conviction and because he's also wanted to form part of this historical movement that wanted to demand free education.
Just my last question then is whether you could maybe give us a little insight into a personal anecdote or a moment between you two as friends who share a commitment to the Fees Must Fall movement from the last 2 years of knowing one another and you supporting him while he's been behind bars.
Well, the message to the Fees Must Fall movement activists, and I know some of them are still having issues with their courts and some of them are under house arrest. The message is clear that they've done their part. They've done their immense contribution towards raising the national question in the country and raising the political consciousness for questioning the status quo. So I do believe that whatever that they've done for the younger generations that are still coming at varsity, who will be now getting free registration, they no longer pay the registration fee. So that is the mark they have left for all of the students. So what they have done is quite critical, and we're really appreciative of whatever that they've done, even though it was met with traumatic experiences and so on, but we're really appreciative of that, what they have done in South Africa.
And when are you hoping that you'll be able to see Kanya Cekeshe as a free man now that he's been released?
I'm just planning on going back to Johannesburg. I've not yet confirmed when, but I'm definitely going to be seeing him soon.
Thank you very much, Nkanyiso Nkulunga, there on the line, a friend of Kanya Cekeshe's for the last 2 years. So he sat through Kanya Cekeshe's time in prison. He was released in the early hours of this morning from Leeuwkop and sent via transport from the Department of Justice and Correctional Services back to his family. This following the Minister of Justice, Ronald Lamola's announcement on the 16th of December, that's last month, on the remission of sentences for a number of qualifying candidates.